Welcome back. This lesson 4 in this section of the training, window view options. We are still on the training how to get started with Excel. And in this lesson 4, I'll show you how to arrange windows. When we say arrange windows, or when you hear the arrange windows option in Excel, what it does is that it helps you to arrange all the open workbooks in the same window, right? You arrange all the open workbooks in the same window. And to access this feature, you go to your View tab. Under the Windows section, you see the arrange all option. When you click on it, you see we have different options: tiled, horizontal, vertical, cascade, windows of active workbook. This option, when it's checked, it will arrange only windows that you've created copy. Remember, in our previous lesson, we created copy of the active workbook. That's creating new window. We created copy. So when you check this, even if you have like, let's say you have 4 workbooks that are open and 2 of those workbooks are copy of the same workbook, right? So it will just arrange only those workbooks that are the same, that you created copy of, right? So I will just cancel and show you the workbooks that are active first before we go arranging them on the same window. To check the workbooks that are active, still on the Windows section of the home of the View tab, you click on the switch windows. You see all the active workbooks. Now I have section 6. You see that I have 2 copies of section 6. You see 1 and 2 at the end, meaning that these 2 workbooks are the same, but it's just a copy of the same workbook. Now I now have section 5, which is a different workbook totally. Right, so I have 3 workbooks that are actively open. So I will now click on the arrange all button. We'll explore each of these options, but I will uncheck this because I want all the open workbook to be arranged on this window. So will explore this and you will see how each of these sections displays on the same window. So now we have 3 workbooks. The active one will be the one that is highlighted. Now the active one will show the name of the workbook, the minimize button, maximize button, and the close button. If I select another workbook now, you see this one is grayed out. So you can work on one workbook per time, right? You can scroll to the left, to the right of the workbook, you can scroll up and you can scroll down, right? So if I select this, you see that we have the minimize, maximize, and close, and even the name of the workbook is quite visible, is active. I select this, you see that this 2 is grayed out and this one is active. The minimize, maximize, and close button is active. So at each point in time, you see that all the workbook is arranged on the same window. So you can work on any of the workbook you choose to work, but you can only work on one workbook per time. As you can see, if we select one, the 2 will be grayed out. Any one you select, the others will be grayed out, meaning that you are only allowed to work on a workbook per time, but it gives you access to view all the workbook on your window at the same time, right? So to deactivate this arrange all feature we just applied, you just maximize. When you maximize, you see that it's deactivated, but mind you that the 3 workbook is still open. It's not as though you just deactivate the arrange all feature. Let's explore the second option, which is the horizontal. I'll click OK. Good. Now see the horizontal. Anyone you select, you see the name is active, is bold and clear. You see the minimize, maximize, and close button. If I select this, you see that this one is grayed out and we have the name is bold. This is section 5 workbook and this is the minimize, maximize, and close. You can scroll to the right, to the left, you can scroll down, you can scroll up, right? So you have the privilege to work on one workbook per time. The same way, if I want to deactivate, I'll just maximize this, right? So explore the third option, which is vertical. Okay. Wow, this is the vertical look. So if I select this, this is grayed out. This is active now. If I select this, this is grayed out. And mind you, you can scroll to the left, to the right, you can scroll down, and you can scroll up. And you have the privilege to work on one workbook per time. So I will deactivate this by maximizing the. Let's look at the next option, arrange all, the cascade. Let's look at how does the cascade look. Wow, it arranges in this form. If I select this, it will become active. If I select this, it becomes active. I can go down again and select this. Good. So whichever option that is much better for you to work effectively, you're free to choose. I just have to go through so that you see how each of those options displays. So I'll just maximize this, and that's it. So the next thing I would like us to explore is to use the tiled option, and we'll now check this. Well, as because we checked Windows of Active Workbook, it will just arrange the workbook that we created a copy of. That's the same workbook, but we have created more than one copy of that workbook. Remember, let me just cancel. When you click on the drop down arrow on the switch, you know that these two workbooks are the same. It's just that we created a copy of this one, and that's why we're having copy 1 and 2. So when I click on the arrange all, I want to arrange using the style option, but I just want window and workbook that are the same. That's workbook that I've created a copy of. Or now click OK. Now you see that we have only two of them is the same workbook, so you can work whatever change you are making here. Now let me just say let me just type 000. You see it's the same, just as I stated earlier, it's the same workbook. It's just a copy of it, so anything you're making here is also affected here, right? So that's one thing you should see. You see that anything I'm writing is also showing in this workbook. So it's the same workbook because you just created a copy of it. So anything you're doing will simultaneously be affected on the other workbook, even if you create 5 copies of the same workbook. As you're making any change in one, it will be affected in all the other workbooks simultaneously. And mind you, as I stated earlier, the copy you created does not really exist. It's just to help the user work on different sections of the same workbook, right? And this is how you display the same, that's copy of the same workbook. So I'll just maximize this, and that is it. So these are the different window options. That's a different way you can arrange all open workbook on the same window, right? So if you have any question or feedback you want to add to this, you're free, and just let me know in the comment section of this video. So this brings us to the end of the arrange window lesson. See you in the next lesson.